Now we're going to hear from a lady from a slightly different perspective. We've been talking to a lot of people that have been involved in trying to reach out to people who are being trafficked and manipulated and abused. And now we're going to hear the testimony of a lady that has been on the inside of that, knows the ugly reality of it. She's here to share her testimony. We're really proud to have her. Let's welcome Cathy O'Brien.
Thank you. My name is Cathy O'Brien. I am a survivor of CIA MK Ultra mind control. I was used on a White House, Pentagon level. I was deep in the swamp among perpetrators who steal elections, fund their globalist agenda with drug and human trafficking across open borders, and who are using mind control to usher in what Adolf Hitler, George Bush, and Joe Biden term the New World Order. It's a slave society agenda, and they need us all compliant. That's the reason that they're using mind control. I know from my experience in mind control that without free thought, there's no free will. With no free will, there's no soul expression. When we lose our soul expression, we lose our ability to discern truth. We lose our compassion for each other. We lose our ability to stand for the things that we believe in. We lose our ability to even recognize when our children are being targeted for mind control. We lose our ability to gather the strength of the human spirit and the infinite power of love. Ultimately, on that level, mind control is a spiritual battle. Having been around these perpetrators, these high-level, self-appointed, self-anointed global leaders, I know that their greatest fear is the strength of the human spirit. They fear that we are going to remember who we are and why we're here. They fear that we are going to remember that we have all the power. When we align with the divine within, we have all the power. They only have as much power as we give them or let them steal. Having been around these perpetrators, I can assure you that they are a very low vibration, dark, negative energy force. They are not like us, and they do not like us. They fear our strength of spirit because it's such a high vibration, they can't touch it. That's why they use fear, trauma, and division, and hatred, because that keeps us at a lower vibration that they can feed off. When we live the love we are, when we align with that divine within, we are out of reach. We got this. We have the victory. We just forgot. We forgot because we've been let outside ourselves to rely on big government, big pharma, big tech, big occult religion to tell us how to live our lives when we have been blessed with the answers within us all along. We need to turn to that and remember who we are, because it's up to each and every one of us to wake up and start taking responsibility for our lives so that we can effectively stop their funding mechanism of child sex trafficking. It's about time that this happened. I have been speaking out for over 35 years on MK Ultra mind control and healing from it. And I'll keep speaking out until this is stopped. What we're seeing these days isn't new. What's new is that we're finally seeing it. And I'm so thrilled to get to be a part of solutions during these times. I was trafficked as a child. This has been going on my whole life. I was born in Muskegon, Michigan in 1957 to a multi-generational incest-based family. My father had been sexually and ritually abused. My mother had been sexually abused and trafficked to my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge. I was being sexually abused from infancy. The sexual abuse I experienced wasn't anything that I even could think to know was wrong. I was just an infant, but my brain knew it was wrong. And it shut down neuron pathways around that pain and suffocation of the trauma. And it repressed it deep into my subconscious mind. That is called the mind's sane defense to trauma too horrible to comprehend. That is our defense mechanism in our brain that we all have, that we forgot our own mind-brain function because that information has been deliberately suppressed for society for a long time so that these perpetrators could erode our humanity and attack our strength of spirit. The pedophile agenda is a mind control agenda. We need to understand this conditioning has been going on for a long time, ever since Project Paperclip imported the Nazi and fascist scientists into the US in the wake of World War II. I encourage you to research that for yourself. With them came the formula for mind control. That formula is the same whether it's of an individual, a nation, a classroom, a military, or the world. Trauma is the basis of it. It was found in the Hitler-Himmler research there's no trauma more horrific on the human mind than sexual abuse of a child prior to age 5 while the brain is still forming. Because those neuron pathways shut down, and they stay shut down while the brain is still developing. Mind control needs our neuron pathways shut down. They don't want our brain firing properly. We need to open those neuron pathways back up. We need to shine our brilliance. We need to get our brains firing so that we can clearly see the way forward and stop this nonsense. My father's sexual abuse extended into child pornography of me. That shut down more neuron pathways in my brain. Then it extended into trafficking me to my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge, to all the local politicians and law enforcement that hung out there. That secret societies are our problem. Secrecy is our problem. When we imported the Nazi and fascist scientists into the US, that is when the 1947 National Security Act went into place to suppress the information on what was being done to bring in this globalist slave society agenda. The CIA was formed at the same time to carry out the operations to make sure that this was carrying on. These secret societies, the secrets that they've been keeping, we have a right to know and a need to know because it's our birthright information, and knowledge is our defense against mind control. When my father was caught sending child pornography of me through the US mails back around 1960, he was approached by one of the local politicians that I had been trafficked to since I was a little itty-bitty toddler. And this politician approached him and said he could receive immunity from prosecution if he would agree to sell me into the CIA's MKUltra mind control program, especially Project Monarch, which is a multi-generational program. The multi-generational aspect tapped into the Hitler-Himmler research that after 3 generations, any knowledge base, abuse base, or belief system would be passed on autogenically in the brain. Likewise, information that is suppressed and censored and kept in secrecy, we forget after 3 generations, even our birthright information. All we need to do is remember who we are and why we're here and take that back. And I'm here to say that no matter what happens to us in life, we can heal. What happens to us is not who we are. Who we are is still within us. And in spite of what was happening to me in my life, it couldn't stop and touch and affect the strength of the human spirit, my ability to align with the divine, that infinite power of love. That local politician was Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford went on to become the unelected president in the wake of the Kennedy assassination. The Kennedy assassination traumatized the whole nation, and is when the globalist perpetrators took a stronghold on our country. When we understand that, we start to see why we experience so much trauma, why our children are targeted, because they're the most vulnerable. They're so pure. They're like, so they still have their birth knowledge. It's still there. And they're still remembering their life's purpose and why they're here. And this spiritual assault on our children has got to stop. It's time we take that all back. I've waited a lifetime now for moments like this, where we have the peace of heaven opening up to help the children. And those of us who can help need to help ourselves first. We need to remember who we are and why we're here. And that is such an important part of my message. What happened to me is detailed in my 1995 testimony for Congress, Transformation of America. I encourage you, please look into it. I've got some in book form back there. National security was invoked on that testimony. If it hadn't been invoked on it, we would know that our children were being targeted, that they were being sexualized, that they were being indoctrinated, but they needed that to be kept secret while they just slowly, subliminally brought it in for generations until we've reached this point now where child sex trafficking is the most lucrative business in the world, and it is their funding mechanism. We can defund this new world order when we stop child sex trafficking. I have another book, Access Denied for Reasons of National Security, that details where all the roots of corruption were planted, what I witnessed inside of DC, how they were taking over the Child Protective Services, how our law enforcement was being totally corrupted to allow for the proliferation of pedophilia, how our judges were being blackmailed with the pedophile blackmail agenda that I was also part of as a little child. And Access Denied was written because my daughter, who was born into MK Ultra mind control, I couldn't protect her any more than I could protect myself. But fortunately for both of us, an intelligence insider on the highest levels of intelligence mind sciences working to preserve the sanctity of free thought, Mark Phillips, was absolutely livid to see how mind control was being used on the population and how our government was being sold out to this globalist agenda, how our constitutional values of freedom and justice for all were being eroded. And he was especially livid when he saw little children being taken in and out of the White House. And he decided to do something about it. He couldn't talk about it. He was bound by laws of sedition. But he decided to do something about it. And how fortunate for my daughter and me, he lifted us out of the Washington, D.C. human trafficking swamp all the way back in 1988, before most people even knew there was a swamp, before they knew that both Democrats and Republicans are involved, before they knew that children were being targeted, before they even knew the pedophile agenda was being pushed to the degree that it has It's amazing what Mark Phillips was able to do, because he was looking into how to preserve the sanctity of free thought, because he knew, like I do, that without that free thought, we lose our spiritual connection. We lose our ability to think, to align with our divine within and access that. And he knew that everybody everywhere was going to need to wake up and understand that it's within us all to heal. He handed me keys to my own mind. He reminded me of what we've been blessed with all along. The resiliency of our body, mind, and spirit is so phenomenal. We don't need to have anyone outside ourselves telling us how to heal, or this, they've been taught wrong. The information on our mind-brain function was suppressed from the medical community, from the mental health community, from education, from society as a whole, because it contained the knowledge that's our defense against mind control. We evolve with that knowledge when we understand it and have that information. He knew that and how important that was, and found it buried under national security ever since the 1947 National Security Act. That's generations that this information on our birthright to heal within has been suppressed. We can all reclaim that. I've took that information. Mark couldn't release it because it was because of the national security, but I can, because it was my experience to heal, and it is in this little tiny workbook that reminds us all. It's not about me, it's about all of us. It reminds us all that it's within us all to heal. And it's a very simple, easy to self-apply method for healing, where you can pick up a pen and paper, not a keyboard, a pen and paper. That's why they've taken writing by hand out of the school system, and it activates the logic part of the brain where critical analysis free thought is, and it shifts emotionally incomprehensible trauma over to logic, where it's written out, consciously seen, and all of a sudden we're healing psychiatrically, psychologically, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's all right there in that simple thing. We can stop the indoctrination of children. Children can heal with the same method by picking up a crayon. It's all so simple. All we need for healing is a safe place to be. We all just need a piece of heaven to be able to have the sanctity, the safety to be able to begin the healing process that we've been blessed with all along. And I'm so excited for this aspect of healing, because these little children, no matter what they've experienced, can heal. They can reclaim their free thought, free will, soul expression, just like I did. They can realign with their connection. They can have that strength of spirit again. They can live the love they are. They can live life the way that it was intended to be lived. And when they do, they evolve with knowledge that's our defense against mind control going forward. And they will heal with the most amazing testimonies, because no matter how I was tortured, and I was tortured for over 30 years, no matter what I experienced, my spirit was always in a safe, loving space. It was not touchable. They couldn't touch it, they couldn't affect it. And in that safe, loving space, because I nearly died so many times, it's like a freeway for me. And I'm so aware of that safe space that I keep it all the time. People say you must pray a lot. My life is a prayer. I keep that constant alignment. And these children know that and experience that too. They are going to have a testimony so strong it's beyond words. They're going to be able to evolve with that. We have so much opportunity and possibility, but each and every one of us has to realize we've been manipulated for generations. We need to remember who we are and why we're here. We need to claim our strength of spirit and realize that this administration that we have in now has removed the obstacles out of our way. so that while they're cleaning up this corrupt system that you'll see in access denied, because my daughter was thrust into that corrupt system, and how we navigated it, that is, we can get outside that system now, because this administration cares so much for the children. But it's up to us. We keep hearing that the power has been returned to the people. We need to accept that and do our part. It's up to us. We need to remember who we are, why we're here, gather the strength of spirit so we can navigate through this, and remember that these little children can heal, and empower them to be able to heal. We've got a wonderful opportunity in front of us. And those who are always asking, what can I do? How can I help? Help us. Help the people who are making the difference. Empower us with the finances necessary to build this piece of heaven, to build these safe houses for the children, and to be able to clothe them and feed them and keep them safe. We all have a part that we can play in this. This is our time. This is our time to shine. It's our time to do our part and start living the love we are for the children's sake. Thank you very much.